What's going on, guys? It is Kefa Yasharel, the self-published author of the 23 Laws of Wealth, and we're going to get into the top 23 languages that you need to learn right now. If you're really serious about this wealth building, you need to learn these languages right now, because these languages will connect you to countries and economic powers that are on the rise, that are coming out with new technology, that are coming out with so much things for the future, for today. Services, products, entrepreneurs, customers. All right, so I got my list here. I couldn't write it all. I couldn't remember it all in my head, and I wasn't about to, go through the trouble of doing so when I could just write it down and I could just remember the explanations why in my head. So let's get it. So the first language I have on the list is Mandarin. Mandarin Chinese, Chinese Mandarin. All right, the Mandarin language, the Mandarin dialect of the Chinese language. Why? China is been growing. China has billions of people, and they are one of the most advanced technological powers in the world. They have some of the cheapest products. I know a dude, he bought 1,000 cell phone cases for like 50 cents. And those are like new cell phone cases. Like, I'm talking about the new iPhone, what is it, XR, the new Samsung Galaxies, and these cell phones are selling in Verizon and Boost Mobile for $20, $10 plus. So now he just got them for 50 cents from China. He could make a killing if he just sells them for $5. He's done increased his profit and revenue by 500, 600, 700%. So China is one of the biggest industries that are just producing. They're producing for cheap. You got Gucci, and some things may be fake, some things may be low quality, but who freaking cares? You know what I'm saying? Who cares? Because at the end of the day, the brand is still the brand. You know what I'm saying? So this guy, he's on top of it. And for the most part, they know a little English to make the purchase. But I encourage everybody to go learn Mandarin Chinese. That is the language that in the next 5 to 10 years is going to be one of those languages that a lot of people, including myself, I plan on learning that within the next month or two. It's going to be one of those languages that are going to be business oriented. You will not be able to get into certain locations. You will not be able to do certain business without Mandarin. The second language I have on my list is, of course, English. The English language, yes. The English language is still a very powerful language. Everyone looks to America as the superpower, the almighty superpower. Yet, I put it on the list not only because of America, but because of a lot of people are learning English. Even the Chinese. See, one thing the Chinese do, they adapt. One thing a lot of these people do, they adapt. So the English language is a language that will continue to be used as it'll be alongside the Mandarin and English. You'll have people speaking both, and there will not be need for any translators, because both sides will be able to speak both. In America, you have entrepreneurships, businesses. You have so much stuff going on in America. And this will be a long video because I'm going to go through all these 23 languages, and I do have some honorable mentions. All right, I do have some honorable mentions. So the third language, excuse me, is Spanish. Yes, Spanish. Who doesn't love Spanish? I love Spanish. It is the language of growth, hard work, labor. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those languages that people hold, that a group of people hold, that are all about wealth. To me, they're all about wealth. They're all about, and wealth, not just in working and hard work and laborious and wages, sticking together for the common good of the family, the nation, all of that. All of that. I'm going to let y'all in on a story. My auntie, she went to Guatemala at a young age. She learned Spanish before she left. She found her husband in Guatemala. They married. They came back to the States. She lives in Orlando now. And they're very successful. They're very successful. You know, all because she decided she wanted to learn the language and go travel. They're very successful. They have 2 daughters. And he already had kids from a previous relationship. Yet, they are doing great. You know, so don't be afraid to learn Spanish. Spanish is a language. I feel like it's one of those. It's one of the easiest languages you can learn right now here in America and implement. You want to know why? Because there's so many Spanish users. So many Spanish users. So many people who are Spanish who are using services, cell phone services. You know, so many services that can be used that you can tap into, and they are another economic capital that you can tap into and get wealth. That's what we're in here for. We're in here for getting wealth. So let's go to the 4th language, Portuguese. Yes, Portuguese. The Portuguese were one of the biggest, I believe, were the ones who started the Atlantic slave trade. So they were the ones who went all around South America. They didn't even hit Africa first. All right, let's get this understood. They didn't hit Africa first. They hit South America. They hit North America first. And guess what? They forced those people to learn Portuguese. You go to Brazil, you go to Chile, you go to all those South American countries. Guess what? They're speaking Portuguese. You want to tap into that wealth? You want to tap and get some money? You want to tap and just learn the culture and have good relationships and have good business partners, etc., etc.? You better learn some Portuguese. All right? And it's an easy language to learn if you are consistent. All right. Now, French. French is the 5th language. I like French. I think it's one of those languages that everybody, it's a real easy language. You know, it's a real easy language. And if you look at the history of France, they have a lot of wealth. They were also involved in the transatlantic slave trade. You go to places like Haiti, they speak a lot of French. You go to places like Jamaica, you'll have French. You go to any of the islands, you'll have French-speaking people, because those were the islands that they conquered. All right, those are the islands that they took over. France has a lot of ancient artifacts, a lot of artifacts that hold our knowledge and hold our history. And in some of those, you can only learn it in these ancient languages. And with French, I'm going to add Latin too. Latin is considered a dead language. Yet, if you're really into history, you're really into learning artifacts, you're really into learning, different things about history, get into Latin. French and Latin. I'm going to put those together, all right? That's the 5th one. Now, the 6th one I have is German. Yes, German. Did you know that Germany, I believe, is the wealthiest European country right now? It's booming. It's on the rise. You know, you got a lot of German car companies. You got a lot of BMW. You know, you got a lot of German companies. They're on the rise. They're doing great for themselves. If you want to, that's another country, another people to tap into. There's a lot of language speakers who speak that language, and it is something you should be learning now. This is the top 23 languages. We also have Japanese. Japanese is an ancient language. And I'm going to pair this with Chinese too. If you want to learn a lot of ancient history, Japanese and Chinese are the language you want to get into. You know, because a lot of our history was destroyed. Those ancient artifacts were destroyed, yet some of the manuscripts are still held in China and Japan today. All right. Now, Japanese right now, the Japanese and the companies are mainly technology based. So they are on the rise with technology. Technology is the future. And I see in 30 to 40, 50 years, probably less than that, it's already happening. You see automated technology that is taking over these fast food corporations. They're taking over these automotive industries. They're taking over these computer industries. And I'm gonna add a tip. If you don't want to get left behind, there's two things you can do right now. There's two things you can do. If you can become an entrepreneur, make a business in a sector or industry that will never go old, that will always be around. Example, the necessities of life. Or you can get into technology. You can learn how to maintenance these technologies that will be used, because these technologies that will be used, they're going to need maintenance, and they're going to need people who understand code, electronics, mechanics, engineering to maintenance these. So don't get left behind being complacent. All right. So Japanese, learn the Japanese language. Take a trip to Japan, because they're doing wonders when it comes to technology. The seventh, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The seventh one we have is the Korean language. Same with the Japanese language, technologically advanced. A language that I have a friend of mine, he was in the military and he was in South Korea. It looked pretty cool. You know, they have a lot of modern technology, a lot of modern cars, electric cars, a lot of modern stuff. You know, some things that are even more advanced than what we have here in America. So get into Korean and the Korean language. Get into Korea and the Korean language. Now we also have Russian. The Russians, you know, they've always been a big key player when it comes to the expansion of the world and society. You understand? The Russians, they know a lot about weaponry. They know a lot about technology. They have a lot of our history. You know, we used to rule Russia. Us black folks, yes, us. We used to rule that area. They have a lot of resources, hard resources, you know, a lot of oil, things that haven't been tapped into yet. And so it would be very, very smart to get into the Russian language and to start talking Ruski. All right. Now, let's go. We have Hindi. So in India, Hindi is a very big language. I believe India has the largest population in the world. All right. I believe so. And if it's not, I know it's for second, because I did say China, and I know China's up there, but India they're right next to each other. So, you know, India and the Hindi language is something that you should go visit, and is a language you need to learn. Why? Because with all those people in the world, that is wealth. That is wealth needing to be tapped into. And one other thing is, I believe India has the most people with life insurance policies. Yeah, the most people with life insurance policies. So if you're into, and I'm not telling you to go jump into it, but hey, maybe that's something you need to do. But if you're into life insurance, if you're into insurance period, you need to be looking at India. You need to be learning that Hindi language. You need to be learning those laws. You need to be learning those cultures. You need to learn how to effectively implement a system to, I'm not going to say infiltrate, but that's basically what you're doing, to jump into that economic structure, jump into that country, and start selling these people's policies. All right. Obviously, they care a lot about life, and they understand life, and they understand that insurance policies is something that they need. Now, I believe 10th language. Yes, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9th. I was right. 10th language. Arabic. The Arabic language. Arabia in history was like and it still is. Whoa, hold on. Let me not say in history. Arabia and those Middle Eastern countries are still the gold trail. All right, in that area, in that little sector, that's where all hell a lot of drugs, hell a lot of diamonds, hell a lot of gold, hell a lot of weapons, hell a lot of money gets transported through. All right, you want to know why? Because it's heavily unguarded. So a lot of people can just go through there and take it from the southern hemisphere of the Eastern world to the northern hemisphere of the Eastern world, because that's where a lot of the buyers are at. And from there, when it hits Europe, it gets sent to the Americas. And even within that trail, it'll get sent to the Americas or to the South Americas or Canada or whatever have you. It gets sent to the Western Hemisphere. But that trail through there, that all that opium, all that Afghan kush y'all like smoking, all of that stuff gets sent through Arabia. So it'd be very wise to learn the Arabic language. It's a lot of wealthy people that learn and know the Arabic language. So it's something you need to learn. All right. Just be careful when you get there, because you don't want to be smuggled up and sold. All right. So make sure you're protected at all times. Now we have Italian. The Italian language. I put Italian on here because it's closely related to the French language. I put Italian on here because they're wealthy people. You know, it's also has a lot of users. Tap into their economic resource and learn, you know, learn their culture, learn their history, get in there and grab some wealth and some money, establish some finances, establish some businesses, and do your thing. All right. And that's all I have for the Italian language. Now, I do have on here Bengali, and I believe that's another Indian language. It is. And this language is also used in parts of Africa. So with that, I have Punjabi and Lahnda. Now, it's a hell of a lot of Indian languages that I could run down, because really, if I were to stop right there, there's many more Indian languages that I could have added, but I decided not to, because I'm going to lump them up all in one. You know what I'm saying? So as far as India, they have many languages. Make sure that you learn them all. All right. And if you don't learn them all, make sure you learn the ones that count the most, and that's Hindi, Bengali, and Punjabi. All right. Also known as Lahnda. So make sure you learn those three languages and put them to use. Now, we also have the Turkish language. The Turkish language is closely related to the Middle East and that Arabic culture. The Turkish people, they've always been traders, just like the Arabic people. They understood trade. They always have sales. They always have wares and goods to sell. Excuse me. So that's another thing you'd like to get into. Get into that Turkish language and learn. And this language will be of use to you. Now, we have the Vietnamese language. All right. The Vietnamese language is, when you look at Vietnam, and if you have watched the movie American Gangster, I forgot his name, But the lead role player was Denzel Washington. He went over there for what? Hella drugs. All right. And if he hadn't have known people who knew that language, he wouldn't have gotten very far. So when you look at, and after the war, it has been very much progressed. Technologically, economically, it has very much progressed. So the Vietnam people also come over here. They open up shops, whether it be nail salons, and of course restaurants. So it's one of those languages that a lot of users speak in. It has a lot of users. So why not learn it? Learn it, implement it. Because this language can be used to open businesses in Vietnam, as well as open businesses here. It's a lot of, where I'm at, it's a lot of Vietnamese people, and for the most part, they stay secluded in their own area. But hey, instead of them just tapping into our wealth, and using our economic base to expand them, because all they're doing, this is what they're doing. I'm gonna tell you what they're doing. I'm gonna tell you what all of these nationalities are doing. They're coming over here to America. They're setting up shop. They're bringing all that wealth accrued, and they're sending it back overseas. And guess what they're doing with that money? They're doing the same thing. They're making their country stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. You know what I'm saying? So that is something you have to look into. Learn the Vietnamese language. Go over there, set up shop. Start sending money back over to your homeland, whether it be based in Europe, whether it be based in Africa, whether it be based in America, whether it be based in South America, and build yourself up and your family up. So that's what it's all about. You got to think of having I wouldn't say a parasitic mind, but have a mind of mutualness. So I give, you take, I take. That's all it is to it. Now we also have Tagalog. The Philippines is a great country. It's a lot of Tagalog speaking people where I'm at, and for the most part, they're nice. They're nice people, So I encourage you to learn Tagalog. It has a lot of users. And the same thing goes with all these languages. We just want to learn these languages because, one, they have a lot of users. Two, we can tap into their economic structure and create wealth. Three, why not? Why just be complacent? Why just know English all your life? I know you're going to travel, travel around. So let's get to it. We also have the Persian language. The Persian language is also closely related to the Middle Eastern countries, and the same applies for them. It's a lot of Persian speaking people. All right. Now we have Romanian, the Romanian language. My uncle married a woman who was from Romania, and she was a very, very, very great tennis player. She didn't do nothing with it, yet he married her. And I'm bringing this up because I know for a fact he had to learn some type of Romanian in order to talk to her parents, talk to her mother, etc., etc. Her father couldn't speak English as well when he'd come to visit, as well as her mother. So Romania and the Romanian language, and there's more countries, they hold a lot of users. This is another way you can increase your wealth. Learn Romanian, get in there, tear it up, get some wealth, bring it back, invest. That's what it's all about. We're creating wealth with learning languages. Now we also have Hebrew. Hebrew, yes. These Jewish people, they are part of that 1% billionaire percentage. All right. if you ever want to tap into, and they hold a lot of gold. They hold a lot of gold. So I do encourage for certain reasons, and keeping everything boundaries and set, to learn the Hebrew language. And it's our language. It's our language. Excuse me. It is our language. That's something that we need to be learning. It holds a lot of history, and it's one of the original languages. It's one of the 3 original languages. Hebrew is. Yes, it is. Learn that language. Go over there to the countries in the Middle Eastern, like Israel, and tap into the economic force. Tap into it, because they're doing great over there. Businesses are doing wonderful over there in Israel, and it's a beautiful country. And there are parts of Israel that are not, how can I say, they're not cultivated. They don't have a lot of houses and places and businesses. So if you learn that Hebrew language, you could possibly talk to some powerful people, buy you some land, and build up and make an economy. That's what it's all about. Wealth building is not just about, of course, it's not just about learning languages, but it's about building nations, societies. All right? Because a society is what it takes for you to have wealth in the first place. You're not getting rich off of nothing. You're getting rich off of what people pay, off of what people value you to be. Oh, I like him. I like what he's talking about. I'm going to give him $20 just because I like what he's talking about. Oh, I like what you got. You have a nice product. You have a nice service. I'm going to give you $50 for that product and service. And then I'm going to tell my friends and family about it. And I'm going to try to get them to give you $50 for that product and service. So that's what it's all about. And you don't have that without successful societies, economies, and nations, and families, and yourself. So we also have Patwah. All right. And with that, Haitian Creole as well. I put these are separate, by the way. I put these together because the Caribbeans are an untapped area that are drenched in wealth and resources. Why do you think they're trying so hard, the powers that be, to get to these places like Haiti, to get to these places like Jamaica, to get to these places like Barbados? Why? Because they know what's under that earth's crust. And if you can learn these languages right now and make your way skippy all the way over there, guess what? Set up shop, get you corporations, some contracts, some land. You can partake in the same riches and wealth, while also, because it's not about you, it's about others. It's about helping other people, and also push that back into the economy and make that a successful, thriving economy, as it should be, because the land that economy lives upon is valuable. Now, we also have Swahili. Swahili is the top language spoken in Africa. If you were to go to Africa right now and open up whatever business idea you have right now, strategize, focus, it could become a Fortune 500 company in 5 years. Africa is one of the most underdeveloped countries in the world due to enslavement, due to colonialism, due to wars, civil wars. You know what I'm saying? Learn Swahili and learn all African languages. I only put Swahili because it was the top language spoken. There are countries in Africa that do speak English, so you shouldn't be too bogged down on such things. But learn Swahili. All right, go into Africa, get that wealth, create it, make something happen, make it happen. Now, honorable mentions. For the honorable mentions, we have sign language. Yes, sign language. You have to speak to the deaf people. Deaf people are customers too. They buy too. They need help too. All right. My auntie, she learned sign language, and she did it for herself as well as for religious reasons. But she learned sign language and she would preach to people in sign language. All right. Now the message she was preaching was not the accurate message. Nonetheless, it's something that she learned, and she learned it and she implemented, and she also bought me a book on sign language that I cherish to this day. I know I got it. I cherish to this day. So thanks for my auntie. Yeah, a lot of my aunties, they did not become complacent. They applied themselves. They learned. So for all you women out there that think, oh, I can't do this. I'm just a pretty little flower in the wind, and I just go to work and I take care of my bills and different responsibilities. Don't become complacent. Don't let that. I know you got some time. 5 minutes a day, every day, learning a language. You never know. You may travel to a country one day and boom, there goes your husband. And he can only speak a certain language. And just because you learned that certain language, y'all can communicate. And boom, y'all are married. So for all you females out there, that's just some motivation coming from me and my family to yours. I'm glad I have these examples in my life of people not being complacent and learning languages and encouraging me to learn the languages and supporting me in doing so. So everybody, y'all, go do that. Another last honorable mention I have is Braille. Braille. Why Braille? We do have blind people. May God bless their soul. We do have blind people. Blind people are consumers too. So if you could write in Braille and send letters to these people who are blind, and I don't want to hear no crap about, well, they're blind, how are they going to check the mailbox? I'm sure they have some type of assistant or assistants to go get their mail and bring it to them, and either A, read it out to them, or if it's in Braille, hey, this is in Braille, you can read it. So hopefully they know how to read Braille, and hopefully that's a language that you can learn, if not now, in the near future, and tap into that economic power, into that economic resource. So that's all. Those were the top 23 languages, all right? And for more insight, I do encourage everybody to research those languages up individually and see more reasons why you should learn those languages, and maybe that would be more of a encouragement to learn those languages. So everybody have a productive day. Continue to create wealth.